Hi, this is David with Hagerty and our Redline rebuild update on our Model A engine. We are back from Ron's Machine Shop down in Shandon, Ohio, and we are ready to put this bad boy together. We have fresh pistons, rings, the rods have been babbited, fresh valve springs, valves, of course. We have a counterbalanced crankshaft, but today my job is to get the crankshaft back out because we just put it in there actually to ship it. So I need to pull this out, get the block on the engine stand. One thing to note, if you're not used to doing Babbitt, which I am not, so this is something I learned, the clearance on Babbitt is, for all intents and purposes, 0. The Babbitt will actually wear in when it first starts up, so similar to like breaking in a camshaft, you need to mate the surfaces, take out the irregularities. Yes, they've been machined, and yes, they're to size and all that type of thing, but Babbitt is soft, unlike steel, so it does not give you a perfect hole in this case. You'll move that Babbitt and settle it into place as things turn. I have what's actually a Model T input shaft, or output shaft, that I need to modify with, I need to cut this off. And the reason being is I need to be able to rotate this crankshaft, and I have to put on a lever bar to do such. So this is going to go on here, bolt it down obviously, but I'm going to cut it off so I'm closer to the crank, and a socket welded in place is going to give me a nice hex that I can rotate this crankshaft. So to put some numbers to it, expect about 40 foot-pounds of torque, 30 to 40 foot-pounds of torque to rotate the crankshaft when it's in position, meaning the rods are locked, or the mains are locked down and it is ready to go as far as further assembly. That is completely different than any of the rest of the motors we've been doing with insert bearings. Insert bearings have clearance and that crankshaft should rotate freely. But like right now, this is not, you cannot rotate it by hand here. On both the rods and the main bearings, you'll see that there's these little brass shims. Well, they're actually a shim pack. If I recall, it seems like this is like 16 thousandths of shim. So as the Babbitt wears, you can pull the shims out in 1,000 increments, and they're basically like little leaflets or an onion, they peel off. And when you do that, then it basically tightens up your bearing clearance. So it adds life to the Babbitt as far as when it needs to be rebabbited. So back to the rods. Now when the rods are on here, it's going to take a lot of torque to rotate it. And the discussion is, don't be surprised when your starter will not rotate the motor the first time. But I'll tell you what, if I didn't know that going into this, I'd be pretty stinking surprised when I got there and my starter couldn't rotate it over, and be certainly questioning whether I did something wrong or not. And what we'll end up doing is hooking it to a vehicle and towing it. We'll have to tow it around the parking lot and basically the old-fashioned pop the clutch deal to get it to run, which is going to be interesting to say the least. And then after that, just flat out drive it. So with that, get the cameras rolling. She's a tight one, Mr. Grinch. So we just finished up putting the crankshaft in. You'll obviously see now that it is actually on a different stand and it's mounting off the side of the block. Our process right now, I need to take rings out, get them file fit, make sure they have 11 thousandths in gap. All right, well that's the last ring, and it doesn't look like any of them need to be filed. They have plenty of clearance and they're not too much clearance. So at this point, I'm going to start putting everything together as far as the rod and piston assemblies, get the rings on. So normally on rings, I typically use my ring installer to do the upper and lower, which will be the same on these because they're a cast iron ring. You can also use your fingernail into your thumbs and spread them. Slightly different in this ring pack, the lower or oil control ring setup, instead of being two flat wires and then a spiral or corrugated, this is actually a cast ring together, has a groove for it, and then this is a spring that has a wire to guide it, but it has its tension because it's literally like a spring going this long, and you compress it to make tension against the wall. So I'm just going to open this ring up, or the spring open just enough to get it slid down. Bring the ends together. Note that my gap is over here. Bring this one over. Put the gap at the opposite end. And I'll use this to spread these just a little bit. These are pretty light tension. I might try the next one without. Okay. And that's your oil control ring. Now the second ring, that's top. There's my second ring. They're marked top. Some will have a dimple, some won't. All depends on the ring manufacturer and how they indicate upper and lower rings. Spread it just enough to get over the piston, because you do not want to crack the ring by overspreading it. And there's the top. Now before I put these down in the bore, I will generously put oil on them, lube also the cylinder they're going into, making sure that the pins are oiled down here, and then likewise on the bushing end, and then of course the babbitt side will get oil as well. To retain the wrist pin is this E-clip or C-clip. Put it into its slot. Make sure, it is very important that this is seated. Pre-oil your wrist pin area. On these particular piston, it actually does not matter which direction they go. However, I'm going to put them in the same direction. A stock piston actually will have a slot right here, a slit. This aftermarket set does not. So BJ told me it really doesn't matter which direction that they go in, just do them the same. So I marked an arrow. This is how I want them to face. And of course, the end of these rods have a dipper, and that dipper has to goes into the oil as it turns and puts oil to the rod journal, exactly like a lawnmower engine does. So obviously if I have it rotated this direction, it will not scoop any oil into the journal. It'll just splash, and I'll have a problem with my rod journals. And I really don't like to take them back apart if I don't have to, so there, here. And if you did all your machine work correctly, they should just slip in. And lastly, put your other side E-clip in. Sorry, I keep calling them E-clips. They are a C. There we go. All right, that one's done. What do you think? 25? I bet it's 25. We'll start at 20. So it's more than 20. It's more than 30. So 35. 35 foot-pounds of torque to at least break it loose. We don't need to know that bad other than just curiosity. We are moving right along here. Obviously, it's taking half the time, because normally we're running a V8 or some sort of 8-cylinder, and today we have this 4-cylinder, so everything's going a little bit quicker. Although what I've noticed is it doesn't necessarily be half of the time, because by the time you get into a rhythm, you're already done. Rotated the crank, got number 1 all the way down, And for the sake of keeping my mind straight, I've put an arrow on the top of this because, well, I have very little indicator or familiarity to say this is the front end all the time, because quite frankly, this looks more like a bell housing than this does. And I'm rotating off the back of the crankshaft instead of the front. So again, just to keep my mind straight and minimize oopses, I put a note on here, and I'm also going to have a piston that has the same thing, and I'm going to double and triple check, make sure my dippers are in the right order or in the right spot, and obviously the pistons go in the correct order. So torque spec is 35 foot-pounds. I'm going to do the same thing like I always do and go to something lower first to pull the cap down even. At the same time, I'm going to tell you that the torque spec is 35 foot-pounds. I'm also going to say that's a little bit loose because being castle nuts, you still need to line up the hole. So I'll probably take it just a little bit past to line them up if they don't. But that shouldn't affect anything from that aspect. So I'm gonna go just a little bit more there. That one lines up pretty good. This one's already lined up. That's pretty good. Now in terms of factory correct would be using cotter pins to come through and flip them to stop the rotation of this nut. If it happens to loosen up, it will not come off. If you watch the update at Ron's Machine Shop, Cody was talking about the added line relative to pressurizing the center main cap. And what he's referring to is this line that goes from the top of the main cap down to this area on the side of the pump. So now this main cap will be pressurized. So I said thread this in. Use your thumb to hold it down. Spin it over the top of it. Okay, no kink. Maybe I only needed 90, but I can always straighten back out. We are on the valve train. Gear onto the crankshaft. This big whopping 320 lift cam and the fiber gear. That's got to get drawn into the block, but on this motor, before we put the cam in, you have to put the lifters in because the lifters go in this direction and the camshaft goes up over the top of them. So something that I'm picking up on here with the Model A is everything you've known and tried to understand from 1950s, let's say, up to even current day, you might as well just forget it and start over because this stuff tends to be a little backwards. There we have it. Here's our short block. We have our camshaft installed, the lifters are installed, crankshaft is installed, the piston and rod assemblies are installed, everything is torqued down. It takes 110 foot-pounds of torque to rotate this at this point, which is just crazy out of 4 cylinders. But again, that goes back to the whole Babbitt function. And actually, as I rotate, I can feel it kind of freeing up already. So we're gonna call it a day. And our next task will be to put the valve train in, get the oil pump and the oil pan on, and then the head, and of course the front cover. And we're that much closer to needing the transmission and getting it back into the Model A. So until we see you next time, wheels rolling. See ya. That's our theme music.